Hello my friends and welcome back to the Scott Ree Project. Now today I want to concentrate on the saddle of venison or loin of venison, whatever you want to call it, or the middle. It's basically the loin with the breast attached. I've already taken out the fillets, the tenderloins, and obviously we are left with this quite a hefty chunk of meat. Now I've already done the venison haunch and the venison shoulder, and this is the last of the three primals of the beast. Again, many ways you can prepare this, and if it's got a bit more fat on, I would be tempted to cut it a bit more like lamb. As you can see, hardly any fat on these row. You can actually see the bones through. I mean, what I wanted to stay away from was just taking the back strap out, which is the easy option. I want to do something a little different, maybe prepare some chops and some medallions, I think. So, first thing we need to do then, just have a look at it. Where we cut off the shoulders, the remaining tips of that blade bone, the scapula, we're just going to get our knife in and just quickly nip those ends out. Now this one has been hanging in my fridge for about 5 days, so it's in nice condition, nicely set. It's been chilling at about 3 degrees. Right, now we decide what we want to do. So whichever way we go with this, I haven't quite made my mind up. First thing we need to do then is take off those breasts. Now if you look at the eye of the meat there, I'm just going to add the same amount there. I'm going to mark it, and then you can see where the flap on the loin, and basically just join your lines up. Now with deer, like I said, there's not a lot of fat, so there's nothing to keep it stable, so it can be a bit of a pain while we take these breasts off. I mean, you could use, if you want to, if you've got some good poultry shears, they would be perfect. But what I've done here is I've reversed the blade in the saw, and as you can see, I'm just giving one push, and then we're not getting too many splintered bones or ribs, and that is one breast off. So again, the loin, you can always just measure it with your knife. So I'm going to go there and then just catch that tip, join it together, and again with the saw, so as you can see, because I reversed the blade, when I pull it's snatching, so I'm just on the downstroke and it's coming off nice and clean. And there we are left with our breasts. Now what I want to do first of all is square it off. So I'll get the chopper, square that off. Then we're left with a square cut breast. Now if you follow just the contour of the bones, that has got to go into our trim pile. Again, sausages, meatballs, pies, then just what we took off that breastbone, what was left, just quickly nip the meat off. And there we are left with our ribs. I'm just going to go through each one, and I want just the bigger breastbones. There's off the other one I did. Take the trim off that end. So what we're going to do with these ribs is we're going to make some little venison lollipops. Quite cool. Get your rib. We want to go about 2/3 down, leave it hanging on. Just nip one side of the bone and then nip the other, which there isn't none. Then what I tend to do is keep a knife, an old knife, a blunt one, just for scraping off the bone, the sinew, and any meat. I mean, this ain't Michelin starred, folks, so you haven't got to go mad. They just look cool. And then what you do is, obviously you've took the meat from there, is you roll it like that. Now you can egg and breadcrumb those, and you're left. Here's a few I've done with these wonderful little lollipops. And just have a look at one of those, if you can see. Like I said, egg wash, so in flour, in egg, in some lovely seasoned breadcrumbs, and then you can either deep fry them, I suppose, or in the oven. Then they come out, and just imagine that. Venison lollipop, one mouthful, great way to use the breasts. And they look super, super cool. Do you know what I mean? This is the kind of thing, like I said, that would be just boned out and discarded. But we're just thinking of making more usable cuts, higher yield. So again, got to admit, they are pretty neat, aren't they? Hey, right, I shall finish those off in a minute. I want to carry on and do the rest of this loin, so they can go over there, the little beauties. Right, as you can see, the ribs end there. What I want to do is just search for where the last rib is, the next joint along. And what I do is meet up with that, and meet up with that, and you can just snap it, but we want to keep a nice clean face if we can. So just with a saw, nip through, and that leaves us with that lovely short loin. Now, like I said, if you had a bit more fat on this, you could bone this out whole. What I would be inclined to do, then lay the fillets, the tenderloins back in it and roll it. But obviously we have got no way of getting that half whole because there's bone straight there. So what I'm going to do is in, and just take that one loin off. Same with the other side. And again, these bones will not go to waste. Into the stock. And there we have the loins. So what we need to do is just peel the cap off. Now remember, you can do this with any species, any size. Again, to my friends over in the US, those white tails, I'd love to cut a white tail up. You know, you're going to have some beautiful, hefty back straps, I suppose, medallions, whatever you want to call them. I'm just going to trim that up. There's our trim pile. Again, we want to get that silver skin off, so just find it and start it. And like skinning a fish, just hold your knife and shake the silver skin underneath, and there you have. Just trim that. One beautiful, beautiful eye of loin, back strap, loin fillet, sirloin, whatever you want to call it. It's all good. You see me just shake that, square it off. That is absolutely beautiful. Right, move that to one side. Next we will work on the loin end. So again, I want to do something different. I am going to split this loin. Always a good idea if you've got a damp cloth to stop it moving. So you can imagine trying to saw that. So a wet cloth to a butcher is his best friend. Now I know that sounds mad, but the uses for it, as you can see now, that sits beautiful, are amazing. So what I'm doing is aiming to go down through there and get 2 equal loins. So just take your time, start it off, looking where your line is. Now if you haven't got a butcher's saw, a nice hacksaw with a clean blade will work just as well. Now you can see where I've split that bone in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to split this side now, start this side off. So let the saw do the work. And once I've started it off, let it join my other cut, and then pretty much go for it. So first thing I want to do then, as you can see where it's been hanging, I'm going to trim that off. Again, get the big guns out, wallop, and that again can go into our trim pile. Bones into stock. Same with this one. Square it off, and that's the attention to detail. That's what us butchers do when we take an animal. I mean, look at that. Make it look nice for sale. All the trimming, all that finessing, which turns a great product into an outstanding product. Now, what I'm going to do now is I want to cut just below the backbone. Cloth. I've got to listen to my own instructions, you know. Soon as you hear the blade change pitch like that, you are no longer sawing bone, you are into the meat. So, going to get our knife right under the bone. And again, trace down those feather bones and take that off. And basically, you are left with a lovely, lovely rack. If you want to, you can peel that cap off, but I'm just going to square it off. And then I'm going to cut. What size should we do these? I'm going to go doubles, if you like, or singles, and I think that looks better. You know, that bone will give it more flavour. Something a little bit different than just taking it out whole as a back strap. Imagine 2 or 3 of them on your plate. Again, squaring it up. If you don't like the doubles, you want them to cook quicker, obviously split them into singles. Those lovely chops there. And again, we will repeat with the other side. So there's our other wrap then. What I want to do with this is, you can see the ribs are not equal, so Again, waste nothing, just nip the meat off there, bones into stock, into our trim pile, and then all we're going to do with this, we can again into chops, or we could bone it out, but I'm just going to just do a little rack. Now you can leave these bones as long as you want, if you want to take that much off, or you can go a bit lower. It's entirely up to you. Then all we do is just mark in between the ribs on the line, and it's a case of getting our knife in and trimming between every bone. So as you can see then, done a quick French trim, can tidy that up in a bit. And I know a lot of you are looking at the screen shouting, Scott, but why go to all this trouble? Well, you can just bone it out the conventional way if you want, it's not a problem. But I'm just looking to make more usable cuts. Like you'll see when I cut into this in a minute. Just put a couple of strings through each rib. This is that holding knot. If you've watched my venison shoulder, you will see the link for this knot in the comments. As a butcher, we can't help ourselves. We're always fiddling, always fettling. Anyway, that's tied up. If we go through, and as you can see, that gives you lovely half racks of venison. And they look amazing, don't they? Could do with a little bit more tidying, but hey ho. Right, what I want to do then, I'm going to go through my trim pile. There's not a lot of dice in this pile, and then we'll lay it out and see what we're left with, which I think you'll be surprised again what we've got out of this. Okay then, not a bad selection at all. What we got out of that loin of venison then, we got our venison cutlets. These I just think are super cool. Super cool venison lollipops out of the breast. These fantastic 4-rib rack roasts. Put them together, make a guard of honour if you want to. Our pile of trim. Our cube venison, I think would be great on a skewer, is kebabs. Obviously, our tenderloins. I would actually again be inclined to just butterfly them out, pan fry them as quick as, and then don't forget we got, as always, the back strap. Make fantastic portions. Now considering that would normally just be boned out, I think you'd agree that that don't look too bad. Well, there you have it then. One loin of venison successfully processed. And again, if I add another loin in front of me now, I could do even more cuts. The possibilities are endless. And the reason I do this, it's all about getting more usable, kitchen-friendly cuts instead of the good old backstrap as it would be. You'd have 2 lengths of backstrap. Now we've got some fantastic looking things, especially these. I absolutely love these venison lollipops. I'm thinking egg wash, breadcrumbs, chuck whatever herbs in there, spices you can imagine, chili or smoked paprika, anything like that, deep fried, grilled, imagine them on the barbie. Absolutely fantastic. So if you've enjoyed this episode of the Scott Reed Project, please click subscribe if you haven't. I release a video every week. And also be sure to check out my vast back catalogue on butchery and cookery. I've got a major section on game, especially venison, cut different ways, butchered different ways, give you plenty of ideas. Also catch me on my social media, Facebook Scott Reed, The Scott Reed Project. Get onto Facebook, like me. I sometimes put little pop-up videos on there, but also it's got live messenger where we can send messages and I can actually talk to you in real time on there. And also on my Twitter at TheScottReaProject. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed that. I absolutely love doing masterclasses like this because it just goes to show you the skill of the butcher. And believe me, you can do this, take your time, and you get a lot more bang for your buck. Like what I did there. See you again sometime, my friends. All the best.